This Welcome, everybody, to our Ayurveda talk. I am Marie. I am an Ayurvedic health practitioner, and I always like to talk about the fact that I do a lot of other therapies because I started out in the 80s doing like sports medicine, and I did massage and all that. I worked for physical therapy. I was a physical therapy tech before there were physical therapy techs. And we are going to do a talk today that is specifically about Ayurveda. And because I always talk about the doshas, I really want to break down what the doshas are. Now, if you were to come in for an individual consultation, you would not only learn about what the doshas are, but you would also learn what make up the doshas, which we're going to talk about today. But you would also learn about what your particular combination of the elements and the doshas that you were born with. So you would learn, this is my Ayurvedic dosha according to my born constitution. And then you would also learn about what possible imbalances you might have, which are based on your life, your lifestyle, and your diet. What you're exposed to, the environment matters. So we talk about what are doshas. The dosha, I just keep it really simple. What the definition is, the actual definition is to spoil, but I usually just say constitution. Your dosha is your constitution. But what it really means is that there are energetic tendencies of the doshas. And that is what we really need to pay attention to. When you know that you are a particular dosha, you want to really understand the qualities of the elements involved in that dosha so that you know what the tendencies are. So let's talk about what make up the doshas. So doshas, the definition is constitution, but it actually is a particular energetic tendency. If you have one, it's going to drive you in a certain direction. So the first of the elements that we're going to talk about is ether and then air. We're talking about them together because they make up the dosha of vata, Vata. So if somebody tells you that you are a vata constitution, a vata dosha, you need to know and understand ether and air. That's what you want to understand. Ether is space. So if you were to just take a moment to think about the universe and space, what is it like? It's expansive. It is forever. It goes on and on and on. There's no end to ether. It is connecting, it connects everything. Everything rests and is in space. Everything. The earth is in space. We are on the earth, which is in space. All the planets are in space. So everything exists in the ethers. Everything. So ether is connecting energy. It's expansive. There's no end to it. There's no limit. It's unlimited possibilities. Now, inside your body, ether is going to show up in your organs where you have space. Your bladder, your large intestines, intestines in general, your uterus, your stomach. Those are parts of your body where there's space and ether can exist there. Now, ether has very similar qualities to air. And I also like to talk about air because in Chinese medicine, they'll say wind, but it's the same thing. Air is going to behave just like the wind. You might have a day where it's just a light, gentle breeze. It's so lovely. And then you have another day where it's insane. It's causing chaos. And that is literally what air can do. Air is, once again, it doesn't have limits. There's no limits to air. It's not in a box and it's just windy in a box. So air has no limits. It moves. It is all about movement, whereas ether is expanding. Air is moving. Now, if you have too much air, by the way, is such an important element that it controls all of our physiology. And I can't go into detail about that, but it literally controls all your physiology. It is the energy that we are working with when we do yoga, when we do qigong, when we do tai chi, martial arts, all of it. Whatever form of exercise you do, you are working with air, the energies of air. It is those forces that control our physiology. So air and ether together make up the Vata dosha. Okay, so let's think about a person that might have a lot of air and a lot of ether. Now, they are incredibly creative. They think outside the box. They are our inventors. They are the absent minded professor, where they can allow the mind to expand and go and, right, what did Einstein say? You don't come up with a solution to something by going about it in the same way. That is ether. That is what he was able to do. I loved him, loved his biography. He would go out in his boat on the lake where he lived and just let his mind wander. That's ether. That is what Vata does. Vata just moves. It just moves. Now, very beautiful energy because of the creativity. It is incredible to watch. We can watch the animals in our around us that have a lot of Vata, like a butterfly or a dragonfly or a hummingbird. They are Vata type of energy and they're fluttering around and they're beautiful to watch. Birds in general. Okay. But when Vata gets out of balance, it's chaos. They have anxiety, they have worry, they have doubt, they have insomnia. They can't shut it down. So, what ends up happening inside of the person's body that has a lot of Vata, ether, and air is they can't contain all of that ether and air, and it just moves and it can move too much. And what happens with these individuals is because they're so attracted to movement, because that's who they are, and expansion, because that's who they are, they do more of it. They like to dance, they like to move, they like to run, they like to go, move. And it causes more problems for them. So when you're dealing with a Vata person, you have a lot of Vata, you have a lot of air and ether going on, you ground, you become still, you sit in stillness, you make sure you get plenty of sleep. You have a routine. Why? Because they don't have a routine. Vata has no boundaries. You create a boundary for them, right? So that's Vata dosha. There's a lot more to it, right? If you want, you can learn more. Come in and get your individual consultation. You'll learn a lot more. Okay, so let's talk about the dosha of Pitta. Pitta is made up of the fire element, a little bit of water, right? And I always try to explain, I like to give metaphors, tell people, what is Pitta like? Well, Pitta is fire. What is fire? Fire, in its best qualities, they get things done. They are organized. They are doers. They move forward. They don't hesitate. They are passionate. Fire, when it's out of balance, intense, judgmental, critical, just so much. They're just so much. They are like a wildfire. And they don't care who they take down when they get really out of balance. So fire will burn you. It will burn you. Now, what's that little bit of water? Like if we were talking about it in a personality, it would be like that salesman. It's got a little bit of slime factor. That's Pitta. That's your fire element with a little bit of water. They've got sliminess. They're super charismatic. Ooh, they just woo you in. And they're attractive. Pitta people oftentimes are very attractive, very athletic. And they just draw you in and then they burn you. They are heartbreakers sometimes, those Pitta people, but they are doers. We can't live in this world without our Pitta people because they get things done. Okay, but too much fire. What happens when you're too close to a fire? It burns you. It's going to dry everything out. You're going to be like, whoa, I got to get away from this. And that is what happens. Pitta people burn themselves out from the inside out. And they tend to be attracted to heat activities, heat conversations, heat information. So, what does that mean? It means that Pitta individuals, they like intense exercise. So I always tell everybody that are doing all those hot yoga, they're all those Pitta people. They need to stay away from it. They need to be doing water yoga, right? Get in the cold water, cool down, chill out. So those Pitta people, that fire element is driving them. They're super highly motivated, intense, and they like to conquer. They love passion. They love to feel it, right? They love passionate people. They're attracted to it. They, like I said, they get things done. They are doers, so we need them. We're so grateful to those Pitta people. But boy, they are tough. They are so tough because they can burn you. So Pitta people, passionate. They love the intense exercise, intense type jobs, the attorneys, the people that like to argue. They're argumentative, very judgmental. They need to not, Vata people and Pitta people need to stay away from the news and violent movies and violent anything. They need to not be consuming that because it increases their heat and they get angry and pissed off. Look out. They are the ones that cause the fights. They are the ones that lose their temper. They are extremely judgmental and critical. Hard to be around when they're really out of balance, but they're doing it to themselves as well. So they're not just beating up on the people around them and burning them. They're beating up on themselves too. It's like really, it's tough. It's tough. Poor Pitta. They don't even know it. Like, and you know, they're so highly intelligent. When you try to talk to them, they go, whatever. They just blow you off, right? Because if you can't meet them at their level of intelligence, forget it. Forget it. Like, I don't worry about it anymore. I just go, whatever. I'm dealing with a Pitta person. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to provide the information and say, slow down, Nellie, and try to get them to take things a little bit at a time. Be more playful. Take your time, right? Don't be in a hurry because Pitta wants to move fast and intense, right? Slow down, chillax. Not everything needs to be so freaking stimulating. They don't need more of that. Neither does Vata. They need calm. They need cool. They need chill. Okay, that's Pitta. Right. The last dosha is Kapha. Kapha people are made up of water element and earth element. So water and earth are very similar in their qualities. They're denser, they're heavier. Water is soft, so it's going to soften things. Like what happens to glass when it's left in the ocean for a long time? It becomes soft, right? The edges soften, and that's what water will do. Water and earth, people who have a lot of it, they move slower, they talk slower, they're typically a little more sentimental, more attached, right? Because how easy is it to move water and earth? It's not easy. It's not easy. I've had to move buckets of water across the yard because I've decided it's not working out to have the dog's bowl over here. I'm going to move it. It's freaking hard. I usually just have to dump it out, move the bucket, and then refill it, right? Earth is the same. That's why we always tell young kids, learn to dig ditches when you're young, because when you get older, it's really hard on you. Dig your ditches when you're young, and your physical strength can handle it. So water and earth are heavier, denser. those qualities, that dosha, kapha, those are individuals, like I said, everything about them is slower. Everything about them is denser. I'm not saying they're dense as in intelligently. No, they're highly intelligent individuals as well. But things, information, stimulation, it takes time. They need more time. You have to like kind of pound it in. And then it takes time. It has to kind of get in there. When I'm working with a kapha person and I'm giving them a practice that is going to really help them have balance, I want them to do a very stimulating practice. Hot yoga would be appropriate for kapha, and Ashtanga power yoga would also be appropriate for kapha. Kapha people tend to be heavier, like they just carry more weight. They have thicker skin, right? Because they are denser. So to get through to that, they need the opposite of what Vata has. Because Vata has too much air, too much movement. They're too light and fragile. They have a very, very fragile nervous system. Kapha, there's so many layers. It's like that it takes, you got to really pound at them. You got to get things moving and they got to be super consistent. But I will tell you about kapha. When those people get into a program, they are so committed because they have that stick to itiveness. They stick to things, earth and water, right? So once they get into it, they are on track, but getting them going, that's the hard part. Okay, so these are the doshas. I talk about them a lot. I'm doing this video because I always say, go back into my videos and learn about the doshas. If you don't know the doshas, well, here we go. Here's your video. These are the doshas. Your vata dosha, ether air. Your pitta dosha is fire, a little bit of water. And then your kapha dosha, it is your water and earth. All of those elements behave differently. What a vata person needs is completely opposite of what a kapha person needs. So this is why in Ayurveda, the wisdom has so much depth because it's considering the elements. It's considering really the tendencies. What are the tendencies of air? What are the tendencies of fire? What are the tendencies of water and earth? And all of that is going to help us understand. When I do an assessment with somebody, I listen very carefully to how they describe what's going on with their body. And then I go, okay, I'm dealing with fire element here. So it's a pitta issue. And then it's so great and it gives you compassion for people because then you realize, oh, he's not just an asshole. He really is just intense because he has too much fire. That's all. He doesn't know. She doesn't know. They just keep doing these intense hot yoga or whatever they're doing, and they're making themselves more intense and more intense and more intense. I'm working at this one place right now, and we got new owners that have come in, and the new gal that's coming in, she's like freaking military. I'm sorry, this is a gym. Really? We don't need to be like that. She can't help it. I would love to work with this gal, get her in here in my office so I can cool her down. Anyway, so those are the elements and how they show up in our constitution, the doshas, right? So now you have your video for the doshas to understand what they are. So you can look at all these other videos that I've done and really kind of get it. Now, if you want more information, you want to really understand it for yourself, you need a consultation. Don't go online and do an online test. Do you know how many people go and do that? And then they think, I'm a vata. No, they have a vata imbalance. They're not vata. It's because of the way they live and the way they eat, they've caused themselves a vata imbalance. That is not their constitution. They're two totally different things. So to get a really better idea, you need to see me. You do. You need to come and see me. Okay, so that's our talk for tonight. It is hot. And so we are going to be doing a calm pitta down practice. So let's get started with that. Thank you guys.